Hey, what's going on, people? A while back I did a video where I had very poor heat on the driver's side versus the passenger side. Now this vehicle doesn't even have 50,000 miles on it. So I did that one, I think, last winter, and what I did was I switched the two heater hoses, the in and the out, at the block, and the problem was cured instantly. I had perfect heat on both sides. After about a year, when the fall came and started needing heat again, I noticed that it was kind of reverting back, nowhere near to where it used to be. It was actually cold before on the driver's side. It just wasn't as hot. So I thought to myself, well, whatever has clogged it up has probably reversed now and caught itself back in the heater core again, going the other direction. So I figured I'd had a few comments on the video and said, yeah, that's my problem and everything. So what I did is I said I'm going to make another video, and I'm going to put it back to the way it used to be, but I'm going to flush it in both directions first. So hopefully push out whatever that crap is that gets caught in the heater core, and hopefully it lasts longer or doesn't happen again. And you know, when you disconnect these hoses, you're going to have coolant go down from gravity, so make sure you put your pans underneath and get rid of your antifreeze according to you know, local laws with the EPA. Alright, so what's the temperature difference, by the way? So this is the driver's side where it tends to get cool, and you can see the temperature is 88 degrees. Okay, so now over to the passenger side. You can see we have 126 degrees. This is about letting the temperature change about 5 minutes from the driver's side to the passenger side. So that's a considerable difference. Alright, so a while back I did this swap and it gave me equal heat on both sides for a while, but now I want to switch them back, and I'm going to flush it in both directions. But let's see what we got here. These two hoses back here, just measuring the temperature. That seems like that one's around 170 something. This one's like in the 160s. Check it again. Okay. And over here. So it looks like this outer one was the feed hose. So, and if you don't have one of these temperature pistols, you can always just put your hand on it and hopefully tell which one is which in case you forget which way the hoses went. Now, it doesn't really matter. When I made this modification, I just switched them. So all I gotta do is switch them back. And over here is where we made the switch. This one here for the one that's down in there. That one. There it is, between those two objects. And we're going to switch them back, but I'm going to flush it in both directions. I'm going to just flush out the heater core with the two hoses on it. And this kit is just something I picked up in the home store. I think it was less than $5. It's a garden hose repair kit. That's going to go on the end of our heater core hoses. And we're going to switch it back and forth each way and try to push out the remainder of the crud that's caught up in there that makes this problem happen. Like I said, we're going to use the garden hose as the feed hose, and it's long because it's just clean water going through it back to the house. And then we're going to use this short green one as our output hose. And like I said, both ends are from that little kit. Just put them onto the hoses and just pop them in either end of the heater core hose. Push it through one direction, see what you get. Push it through the other direction, see what you get. And once it's clean on both ends, we should be done, and hook it back up and see how our temperatures are. Alright, so here we have our two hoses hooked up, and with our adapters, garden hose and short hose, and it's going over the top of the vehicle into this pretty clean bucket. I mean, there's a little bit of contraband in there from hanging out in the house, but you know, nothing major. So let's turn the water on and see what we get. Now that's nasty. So because there's a lot of antifreeze initially, this bucket's going to have to get recycled at a collection center. So it's starting to look pretty clean. I'm going to back flush it the other direction. Now because I really don't want to mess with this anymore, I decided to flush out the block at these 2 ports as well. And which means, you know, like keep your pan underneath to catch all the extra that's going down, and instead of letting it run into wherever. And so I actually flushed through the block, which the radiator's at a low point, and it drains it back into the block at the lower port. So I really want to see if I can keep this from happening again. So that's the other thing I did. So there's going to be so much water in this now that I'm going to fill it up with straight antifreeze. And then if you have one of those coolant testing tools, you know, to measure how much freezing protection you have, I'd advise using that, you know, just to make sure you got your mixture right, because straight antifreeze isn't good, and neither is a mix that's too weak. Up to operating temperature. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so this has been in here, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, and we're up to 117 on the driver's side. Okay, we're gonna check the passenger side, and we have ourselves 122. I think that's close to what we had before. Obviously, we got a few degrees lower from one side to the other. And maybe that's normal. Maybe the coolant enters on the passenger side of the heater core and migrates over to the driver's side, meaning it should be off a couple degrees. But it's back to having good heat again, and we're going to see how it rolls from here. If it, if it happens to reduce again, or it stays that way permanently. If it stays that way permanently, then no more video on this one. Thanks for watching.